energy channeling. So when we're working with Kundalini energy and we are opening up to this flow, to this life force, what we are essentially doing is we are working with our logical mind that tries to make sense of everything in reality, and we are opening up the non-logical side of our mind. We're opening up a creative pathway, a frequency, a level within our head that allows us to experience and feel and see and hear something beyond what we can make logical sense of. So we have the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, and we have like the awake world and the dream world when we're asleep. And when we work with Kundalini energy, we are somewhere in between. We're in a parasympathetic state. We are aware of what's happening within our body. We're aware in the sense that we're feeling something. We're not aware in the sense of we know exactly what we are experiencing and what is going on. So I'm speaking more toward activations right now. We have two main ways where we can really work with Kundalini energy, and there are many, but the two that I'm focusing on here are activations and Kundalini yoga. So within Kundalini activations, what we are doing is what I had described just there, and we are so we're lying down, which first of all is bringing us into that surrender-based practice of, okay, I'm lying down. Usually we lie down when we are going to sleep, when we are relaxing, when we are getting a massage, or lie down. Like that association alone triggers our mind into, okay, I can relax, I can feel, I can let go. Now, when we add in the music piece, the music's role is to guide our brain into this parasympathetic state. And it does this with a wave-like structure within the playlist, the way that I create them. And so it starts low and it eases the mind into that state of consciousness on another level, accessing the unconscious. And so it'll bring you down into, okay, I can relax, like I'm almost falling asleep, and then it'll bring you up into, oh, okay, I'm feeling something. Something is happening in my body. I feel energy, I feel this electricity. And then it'll bring you back down into, okay, this is okay. And then it's like another shock, like, okay, I'm coming back up into another wave. And the intensity of it, like, you might not experience that intense of you're not experiencing shock necessarily when you have those shifts in those waves within the music. But the more attuned you become, the more open you become, the more you will feel those waves within the music and within your body, within your Kundalini energy flow. And in the beginning process, what your mind and your body are doing is just learning to relax. And if you are, so we'll start there. If you are new to the practice, and most people go in and just the act of lying there for an hour is a lot to relax, to let go, to allow your mind to have thoughts. Like, the goal here is not to clear the mind of any thoughts. It is to allow yourself to have the thoughts that you have, to move the way that you feel that you need to move to express, whether that is like that's a stretch, or that is your body just wanting to jolt movement. Like you might experience subtle, even in the beginning stages, like subtle hand movements in the fingers. You might feel a sensation of, oh, okay. And you might feel like jerk responses, more intense responses like that. And that's also in the initial phase, in the beginning, because the more you work with Kundalini energy, the smoother it becomes, the more you access that wave-like state. So in the beginning, you may not feel much in the sense of not having physical body responses. When that happens, the Kundalini energy is working through your mind, through your body. And when you relax and you open and you allow yourself to feel a bit more, that's when some of those kind of jerky movements can come in. And then once you move beyond that, beyond the abrupt movements, you'll access more of a flow. It's more of an inner dance where the body does move in this unrestricted flow, and it's a wave-like motion. And when you get to that level, the energy is moving much more calmly. It's not necessarily moving faster or slower, but it is moving through all of those same points where it was in those sudden abrupt movements, but it now has an open passageway where it can move through your body. So that's why when you see like the abrupt movements and then the more smooth movements, that is one of the possible underlying causes there. And so in understanding, okay, well, how can I open my Kundalini channel? Kundalini activation, so that's one example of how Kundalini channel can be opened. And even within that, that is with a practitioner of some kind. And then the other way that I want to talk about in this video for opening your Kundalini channel is within Kundalini yoga. And so we have the Kundalini activations. This is our more of a left hand practice. And then we have Kundalini yoga, which is a right hand practice, in that it is much more focused on, I'm working on breathing, I'm working on strengthening my aura, I'm working on strengthening my physical body, my arms, my legs, my neck, whatever you're working on. And it's very structured, it uses vocalizations. And so a Kundalini class will start with Adi mantra, and you go through that, you have a set of warm-ups, you have your kriyas, and you have your savasana, you have you're tuning out, and it's very structured in the sense of the teacher is guiding you into, this is what you are going to experience here, and you do experience an intense opening in the body, and that, whether that's through breath work, through chanting, through other vocalization. So it's very much something where you go into it and you build up this practice and you build up the dedication, the strength, the flexibility, the mentality that you need in order to hold the energy of Kundalini. So that is why it pairs so well with Kundalini activations and Kundalini yoga, because it has this connection more so to the real world. You can make a logical sense, one, of what you're doing. Okay, I am improving my breathing, I am oxygenating my head, I am, intentionally opening different parts of my body, working with different chakras, I am intentionally improving my capacity to hold Kundalini energy. Now, when we go back to activations, how this helps us is that the activations are meant to freely flow. So the more you work with Kundalini yoga, the more you can then go into those activations and be able to hold the movement of that energy. So this is where it's really beautiful. You have that feminine and that masculine side, and they are two seemingly separate paths, but they are like little cogs. They kind of meet and they go together, and then my hands could keep going. They keep turning and turning, and there's pieces of them that fit in together, and then there's pieces of them that go off on their own. So we practice the two, and it's useful as well when we have something that we want to focus on, because in activations we go into them and it's more so I surrender, I release myself to this Kundalini energy release. Maybe not the best word choice, but I surrender myself to this Kundalini energy to flow through me, to see that which I can't, to move into any spaces where I may have neglected, and it will move through your body. And then with the Kundalini yoga practice, we can say, okay, I want to focus on opening up my heart. I want to focus on my root. I want to focus on establishing who I am, and I want to focus on my core. We can choose that. Whereas in an activation, we really don't get to choose, and this is where the spontaneity comes in an activation, whether that is through movements or it's through emotional releases. It's through accessing, again, part of the subconscious, where we store so much and we really can't logically know exactly what's in there. But when we go into a Kundalini activation, we're tapping into that, and something comes up. So most times something will come up when we are ready to travel into a deeper level of ourselves, of understanding ourselves, of establishing who we are and who we decide to be. We naturally go a little bit more into that subconscious, and that is something that we don't get to choose what we access. We are led to whatever we need to access in that moment that is going to move us to where we want to be. So maybe we focus on opening up our heart within Kundalini yoga, and then we go into Kundalini activation, and something is activated within our childhood, something that made us feel like we weren't loved, or like we couldn't express, or it made us feel something that is blocking us from developing in that Kundalini yoga practice that we're focusing on to improve ultimately within our life practice. And that can get opened up. So as that gets opened up, the results of that can be just processing that grief, that emotion, whether that is sadness, whether that is actual grief, whether it is crying, laughter, anything can come up within these. And ultimately, it's up to each person to choose, mainly to choose. So we don't necessarily have to choose activations, yoga, or any other practice. What we do have to choose is what we want to achieve, what our goals are, what our focuses are within our life today. And that will naturally guide us toward doing more of activations, doing more of Kundalini yoga, doing more of Tantra, doing more of learning about chakra, doing more of just yoga, just gardening, reading, anything that ultimately contributes to the whole of who we are. And that is it for today. So thank you so much for watching this video. Again, if you have any questions, anything you want to add, always feel free to leave those in the comments down below here, and also on the blog where this is continued on my website. And I will see you guys back here for another video very soon. Bye guys!